Okay, here we go with another video, and now I'm going to be doing TheFlicker98's Talkz episode 4. I'm going to do episode 4 now of TheFlicker98 Talkz, and episode 1 I reviewed The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. In episode 2 I reviewed How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In episode 3 I reviewed Bed Opposite Broomstick. So now we're going to go to 1984. No, 1988. I'm sorry, 1988. We're gonna go to. This film stars the late John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, and it's one of my favorite John Candy movies. I know it's a really funny movie, and that is none other than The Great Outdoors. This film was released in 1988 with John Candy. And this was the first time that it was released on DVD, I believe, because it's part of the John Candy Comedy Favorites. Has two other movies, including Uncle Buck and the Going Berserk. Uncle Buck is a classic, and Going Berserk never seen before, so I'll have to watch that. But this is a cool set of John Candy films. Here's the spine, and here's the back. Yep, has Here's 3 pictures of John Candy. This one's from, I believe it's from Going Berserk, The Great Outdoors, and Uncle Buck. And it says right here, comic genius John Candy stars in these hilarious collection of heartwarming movies. Ain't that the truth? Because The Great Outdoors is a really funny movie. It's one of my favorites as well. And I'm going to open this up here. I'll show you what the DVD looks like. Here's the disc, what it looks like. They're both the same, but here's disc 1. This one has Uncle Buck and Going Berserk. And disc 2 has Going Berserk on this one. This one has Uncle Buck and the Great Outdoors. And now I'm going to talk about the movie for a little bit about The Great Outdoors. First starts out about, it's when John Candy, he plays as Jet. What's his name? Jet Adley's. Yeah, Jet Adley's family. Yeah, Jet Adley's family vacation would have been perfect if it weren't for this family. When his brother-in-law Dan Aykroyd, what's his name? Yeah, his brother-in-law, I don't know his name, I forget his name, but John Candy's family, Jet Adley's family were going on a vacation to their log cabin, where they would usually go on their vacation, because they owned the cabin, and his brother-in-law, who was his wife's brother, his wife's brother, which considered his brother-in-law, who is Dan Aykroyd. And of course they don't like each other very much because his brother-in-law is more fantastic and of course he's more rich and everything. And during that time he ruins poor Jet's family, and along the way but they still do have fun times. They did have a good time, and of course, when John Candy told a very scary story about a bear that his father saw, yeah, that was hilarious. It was about a bear. Remember that part? Yep, it was about a bear, and of course, he scared him with the fire going out. And then Dan Aykroyd was like, "We trying to give you nightmares?" Yeah, and of course, during that time, Dan Aykroyd is ruining John Candy's life, and of course, during that time, and of course, they go out partying. They go to some restaurant, and of course, I think Dan Aykroyd says, tells the kids to go stand by the old man. And then the other guy said, this is funny, the other guy said, yeah, he died he died while driving. Yeah, the guy, and of course the two girls were kissing the dead man. Yeah, and also during that time they also go to another restaurant. But yeah, they go to another restaurant along the way, and of course John Candy orders a steak, and he has to eat a big set of steak, which it was called the Big Pound 36 or something like that. Yeah. And and he ate it all, but the one guy said that he still had fat left, but actually John Candy actually really finished the steak, but he said he had to eat the fat too. But of course John Candy was done. He said that he was done because when he got home there was food somewhere and he started puking. And also the part where they were starting a fire, when he was starting a fire, that's when Dan Aykroyd and John Candy both got into an argument. And then John Candy, this is one of my favorite lines, John Candy says, "Don't push me, otherwise you'll be coming home with a dent in your forehead." And then Dan Aykroyd's wife comes up and says, "Yeah, that'll be the day." Then John Candy says to her, "Would you like one to match like his?" And of course they leave. And also Dan Aykroyd tells him a lie about John Candy being drunk and saying something bad about him when he really didn't. But of course they were going home, but they had to come back for a reason, because he needed to tell his wife that they were poor. And of course he told John Candy the truth, that what he said was not for real. It was a lie, but yeah, that was actually a very remembrance movie. And also John Candy and Dan Aykroyd had, of course, the two girls that Dan Aykroyd has. He had to go out looking for them because they thought that they were missing when they were in the car, and then they went out to under the cave where they're not supposed to be. And so John Candy and Dan Aykroyd has to go out and look for them. And of course they did look for them, and what happens? They're down there with a big bear, almost there, and John Candy he threw a rope down the cave because he thought Dan Aykroyd and the children were still down there. He pulled up the big bear and he was running. And also another famous line from that movie, he was like, "Oh, big bear, chase me." And everybody was like, "What is he saying? Big bear, chase me." And then the door breaks down. And of course the other guy comes and he shoots the bear, and then he comes running home. But yeah, great outdoors. Can't go wrong with it. It's actually a good movie. But yeah, if you love this one, just go check this out. And that'll be it with episode 4 of the TheFlicker98 Talks. Hope you all enjoyed, and stay tuned for the 5th episode, which I will be doing soon. So, hope you all have a good day.